Today is another follow-up episode with Eileen Nauman, so be sure to listen back on episodes 252 and 256 as these episodes build upon another, with more episodes being released in the coming weeks. Eileen is a worldwide lecturer and pioneer on a broad range of topics including homeopathy, medical astrology, metaphysics, and shamanism, and you can find the books she's written on all of these topics by visiting Amazon.com and searching for Eileen Nauman. She is also a New York Times best-selling author under the pen name Lindsay McKenna, having written more than 225 novels translated into 33 languages and selling over 23 million copies worldwide. You can learn more about Eileen at www.walkingtheland.net. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to Eileen's newsletter, where she'll be sharing loads of great information in the coming months. Eileen is on a mission to help raise our collective consciousness by teaching all of us some of the healing tools she's learned over many decades. She is doing this free of charge through her YouTube channel, which she is just starting up, so be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/@EileenNauman2329. Eileen has also agreed to make many of her amazing resources available free of charge through my website while she's getting her own site and YouTube channel set up. So you can check out eugeniekruger.com/Eileen to download many of the resources she has gifted. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with your family and friends. We're in a time right now more than ever where deep healing is needed, and part of that healing includes learning more about our energy body. So I am very grateful to Eileen for taking so much of her time to share her wisdom with us all. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. This is our third interview with the incredible Eileen Nauman. We have learned so much in this past couple of episodes, and I'm so excited for this third installment. And Eileen's got another PowerPoint here for us, which we'll have on Rumble and on YouTube as well. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Eileen.
Well, thank you, Eugenie, and hello to everybody. And it's good to be back. We're going to jump right into this because it's quite deep and it's quite wide. It's like a big river. It's called the Astral Field, and this is lesson 2 of the Energy 101 series. There's going to be 5 of these. Okay, so we're now putting our boots into the astral field. And I said that this is the most colorful and changing color field or layer of our aura. And if you're not clairvoyant, you can't see the egg shape that's around above our heads and beneath our feet. And it's about 5 to 6 feet out on most normal people, okay? If they're abnormal, it's either smaller or it's wider. And I'll just leave it at that. And so, we're doing 2-dimensional things here, when I put a graphic up. And the thing is that I just use your imagination here and think about how fog moves around, the wind kind of moves it around like this. And that's what happens in our aura. It looks like there's clouds in there, and then there's bits of color that'll show up, and then it'll change and move, and then it'll be more color over here. And it's constantly changing because human beings are constantly changing. We're an emotional animal sort of being, if you will. So nothing is ever static in a person's aura. All right. And someone who is clairvoyant, even though they may only see so many fields and that's it. Or they may see part of one field, and maybe the 4th field out, they'll see that one. It's all different for different people. The ones that really get to know it the best are people who are hands-on healers. And Barbara Brennan's book, Hands of Light, I strongly recommend everybody who is interested in energy medicine, and I mean serious about it. She has got so many beautiful illustrations of all of the technicalities of this. I'm giving you a broad overview, but she has got the depth, and it's a serious depth, but she knows all the fields. I don't know all the fields. I normally work with the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and the 5th, which is the causal field, which is your It's your it's your karmic field. It's what you have planned to come in to do this lifetime, okay? And we'll get into that another day. But she would know and does know all 9 fields. She understands all the 7 chakras that we have, as well as the smaller chakras that we find, in the center of each hand and on the soles of our feet. So her book is just incredible. And my mother used to do this. And she used to talk in that language. And, it's 7, 8, and 9, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. And she wasn't offering an explanation for it either. So, and I didn't really get into starting to read the books out of their metaphysical bookcase until I was 9 years old. And even then, there was, this is big adult words and things like that with a 9-year-old. You know how that goes over, right over the head. But anyway, I did pick up, and I knew enough that I knew she was seeing something, and I could just feel her energy switching all the time. But a true hands-on healer is something to behold, because they can see it all. It isn't half of or part of a particular field. They see the whole thing, even though everything is constantly moving around. And in from the equator north, everything with us always goes clockwise. From the equator down to the south, it's counterclockwise. And we'll get into that much more. But her book is fabulous. And I don't mind telling everybody about it, because there's just nobody that has created a manual like she has of show and tell. And seeing them visually really, really helps, because when you put your hands into someone's aura, you can feel it, because you've got these 2 eyes here, these 2 little chakras, and you will feel the textures, the bumps, the swellings, and you'll feel the depression or the coolness. And with her book, you will know what's going on and where it's at, who's on first, second, and third. So anyway, we are going to get into the astral field. And we call that the rainbow field, because it is the only layer of the 9 layers of the aura that we have that is multicolored. And I will tell you why later. And I said, you're not going to be able to see the astral field with your 2 eyes. You will see it with your brow chakra, but that has to come with time. Most people just don't blow open and see everything. That doesn't happen that way usually. And the most important thing you want to remember about the astral field, besides it being the peacock feather field, because both Eugenie and her manager are wearing peacock earrings today.
Yeah.
And I think that is
totally
so
coincidence. I just have to say, totally coincidence. We both turned up on Zoom today with our peacock earrings that I've just made us from Amy's peacock's feathers.
Yes, the creeping Jesus.
Yes.
I won't forget that name.
It's the best name ever.
I want to know why she called it that.
He kept on creeping up on her mum. Like, apparently it was quite south, and her mum would turn around, and then, yeah, that's apparently where the name came from.
And it would be there, right? Yeah. Male peacocks are notorious for doing that. Anyway, getting back to this. So the astral body is colorful, and that's why I put the rainbow here in the first graphic, because it really is. If someone is sick, the colors are faded. If someone is going through a lot of stress, it will also fade. And as we know, stress is one of the biggest determinators in our lifetime, literally, especially the last, say, 10 years, 7 years, thereabouts. Okay, so besides the field, it also contains what we call the astral body, which is a duplicate of our outer human body. And it fits inside our human form like a glove around our hand, which is our physical body is the glove. The astral body comes in through the crown chakra, feet first, and comes down, and its astral feet lock into the physical feet. And then it is where it needs to be. The most important thing you got to know about this field is that it is our emotions, and that is every emotion that we own, good, bad, or indifferent. And so The astral body is there for a couple of reasons that I know of, and I'm not saying that I know all the reasons because I'm a shaman. I'm not a hands-on healer. A hands-on healer is going to know a lot more about this. Is that the astral body does several functions, and they're really, really important, and we're going to get into those. The first is that they're supposed to stay locked. Their astral feet, and by the way, they look like it's like a kind of if it's out and you see it, the silver cord coming out of your crown chakra, and it's floating around, it looks like a half deflated balloon. All right. And it is a whitish, opaque, and transparent kind of color. And depending upon how it moves and stuff, it might look a little more opaque, and another time it'll move and you can see straight through it. But that is its energy, and that's what it is. And it's a perfect copy of how we look in every way. It has every wound, it has every scar, it has everything that is us. And when, if you are 100% grounded, this is good news. If you're not, this is really bad news. And I'm going to spell it out for you because I've seen too much of it. Because when you're under stress, the astral body will partially float upward and out of your crown chakra in the center of your head, and then you become what we call ungrounded. Okay, so I was taught the fields of our aura by my parents, and different people or different religions or different belief systems call these fields by different names. All right. So what I'm saying is that I am going to call them what I know they are as I was trained up. Okay. And the name really doesn't matter as much as what you understand of what's going on in the field itself. So don't get caught up in words. Just listen to the rest of it. So the astral field is the second field out from our physical body, and it's the emotional field. And like I said before, every possible emotion is going to occur. It feels it. It is highly colorful. It's volatile. It's ever-changing colors all the time because it is reflecting our feelings and where we are at that moment with ourselves emotionally. And you know how many emotions sometimes you go through, especially if it's a surprise or a trauma or something like that. Boy, there's a ton of emotions coming and going. And it's energy. And so all of that energy comes home to the astral body and to the astral field. It is your catcher in the rye, if you will, or your catcher of anything emotional is taken care of by this astral body and by this astral field, period. There are other things about the human that are taken care of by other fields that we'll be talking about later. So let's see. We're a creature of our emotions. The mind is not in charge. And this is a really important part because you live in a patriarchal male society that worships the mental, the mind, the science, and then tries to drown and kill everything else, which is your heart, which is your emotions, okay? Patriarchal men are all head, no heart, as we say. And they may own a organ that is pumping blood through their body, but when somebody is too brainy or too mental, they have shut down their entire emotional fields and body, which means that the astral body is very much involved in this state. That it's when you shut down, and in the patriarchal society, men are not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to feel, they're not supposed to whimper, they're not supposed to sob their brains out. Okay. And so men's astral bodies are really, really tightened up to the point to where they can't release how they really feel. And so it sits inside the astral body itself, and it has to handle it and it has to take it. So the mind is not in charge. Okay. In fact, there's a saying by Albert Einstein, who all the mental patriarchal people who love him because he's a scientist. And I love this saying. He said, the mind is not in charge. And he says, in fact, it is called the servant. to the heart, which is our gift. I love that. And Einstein is right. If we don't work and run and live through our hearts, we're in big trouble. And we are in big trouble now. We've seen what the mind can do. Look at all the industrialization. Look at all the AI. Look at all the gadgets. But where's the heart? We got people starving to death. We have people that are dying because they don't have a blanket and they're freezing to death out on the streets. We have people that don't have any homes and they're living out of their cars. That's not heart, that's mind. So I want to make a really strong distinction here between that, because we have to have compassion, we have to have gentleness, we have to have nurturing, we have to have kindness. And, the whole thing is called, there's a big word for it, it's called agape, Agape. It's a Greek word which means a universal love of everything. Okay? And that's the heart. And that's where we want to stay and work to stay. And if we do not allow our everyday mind to control all of us, as it does now, sadly, I said it is our heart, our gift, that is about our emotions. And I said women are right brain dominant, which is where all of the psychic tools and gears and knowing and intuition is at. Men are left brain, and it's mental, and it's for the grocery list, or to get the oil in the car, okay, or to change a tire, or to figure out how to draw a blueprint to make a skyscraper. That's the left brain. That's it. Everything else is over here, and it's woman dominant. It's female. So this is why the astral field, especially with women, is such a great and powerful influence in our life, but also a great tool to not only help us help ourselves and understand ourselves, but to get right with it. Because most people aren't right with their astral body. Most people, 75% of them, you can see the head and the neck of the astral body out floating around above their heads. Because, and we're going to get into that here very quickly, why that happens. So I said rainbows are beautiful, but on any given hour of any day, we might hit a quote unquote brick wall of negative emotions for a variety of reasons. And I said, when this happens, the clean, bright, clear, transparent colors may turn grayish looking, or they're faded looking colors, or if it's really an intense negative emotion like fear, it can turn very dark and muddy looking. And you may not even see colors. You may see just muddy, brownish, black color instead. You ever see that, somebody is in the hurt locker big time, and wherever it's at, you're looking at a particular chakra. And so you know automatically how to approach this person, because that's the chakra that's involved. We'll get more into that later, but this is how we use this, okay? The fields are all directly connected with all of the chakras. We have chakra front and back. We have 7 of them that are in the physical body or around in the energy fields of the physical body. We have 8 and 9 above our head that you cannot see unless you're clairvoyant. And they have very little to do with what we're doing karmically. It's more about your spirit and your path and how are you doing on it, and they're monitoring you and this type of thing. So an important function, in my opinion, of the astral body is, because it's an exact duplicate, you can't see it. And we all have this astral body, and like I said, it's whitish colored, it's semi-transparent, transparent, or opaque. And I already mentioned that normally our second kind of body, if you will, our energy body that looks exactly like us, its feet are locked into our physical feet. And I said, whenever a person comes under stress, and I said especially unrelieved stress, then the astral body wants no part of it. And it unlocks from the physical feet. It has it's sentient. It has a brain of its own. It can make its own decisions, okay? And this is part of the issue that we get in trouble with. But anyway, if the emotions are too intense for too long, it's going to escape because it is getting hit with them too. It isn't only your physical body and your physical heart that's getting hit. It's also energetically taking the worst part of it, because it's the energy that has to be kind of strained through the astral body. And that's its whole job, is working with our emotions, working them through. It's sort of like a strainer, and with the energy, and bringing in the chakra, which is going to be your sacral or navel chakra. It's the chakra that's just below your belly button. And it's actually between the lumbar and the middle spinal column area. Okay. But if you just drew a line between your belly button and the back, and go down an inch or two, you've got the sacral, and you have the sacral in the back and the front. So its job is just to relieve some of the intensity of the emotions that you are feeling physically in every way. And that's what it's there for. But if it gets too hot in the kitchen, it'll leave. And if you are ungrounded, it's going to escape sooner rather than later. If you're grounded, it's going to stay with you. And as long as you're grounded, it will not escape. It will face the fire with you. And this is the biggest thing about how stress is handled with people. So I don't want that one. Excuse me. Seems like we're going backwards. Uranus is going to be going direct tomorrow. So we're going to have some burbles, some ups and downs tonight. Expect the unexpected. We'll still get the information out to you. It may be interesting how we do it, but we'll get there. Anyway, you can see that there's a half, literally a huge balloon that is being deflated. Okay. And I said, I've lost count on how many people have 1/4 to 1/2 of their astral body dangling out like a half-filled balloon, hanging out of the top of their head, moving sluggishly around, and is seeking relief from the intense emotions that you are in. They just want to get out of town for a while and get away from the stress, because it's so overwhelming to them and they can't process it fast enough. And so it builds up in them. And energy has expressions, and energies do affect our physical body, our organs, our endocrine system. Every system in our body is affected by this. So we want a really good, solid, loyal astral body who's going to be in the trenches with us and take the hit, and then we'll both start to process it. But here's what the problem is. If you don't want to process it because it's too painful, guess what you do? We just go, it's back there. I may know about it, but I'm not going to think about it, and I'm not going to do anything about it. That's called suppression. Well, repression is when something happens to you, usually when you're young, or if it is super traumatic or shocking, it will go directly to your subconscious. It bypasses your conscious mind, goes directly here to the subconscious. And you don't even know it's there. But I can guarantee you that your astral body knows, because it keeps trying to get out, because whatever the trauma or the shock was so horrible, so deadly to this person. Now, and we need to kind of look at the word deadly here, okay? If I picked up a rattlesnake and showed it to you, and that person was deathly afraid of snakes, that would be deadly to them. That would be such a shock to their entire emotional system. It would be unbelievable, okay? Now, if somebody puts a gun in my face, that's a shock to me, okay? I'm 4 alarm sirens. I'm there, I'm focused, and I'm going, well, I guess it's my day to leave. But the whole thing is that your astral body is like your guardian and your guard and your sentry, but you can mess it up by either not dealing with the issue that's in front of you, staring you in the face, and you just go, flip, there it goes, it's gone. I don't have to worry about it. I've seen people 20, 30, 40 years later that had something happen back when they were a young child or a baby, or in the first 18 years of life. And believe me, it comes vomiting up, because the astral is also part of our vital force. And our vital force, and I'm talking homeopathy now, the vital force is a sentient being too. And it goes, if we leave this really terrible emotional bomb that this person's holding on to, they're going to die early. They're going to die from it because they're not processing it, because it's poisonous and it's toxic to my emotional system. And they want to get it out. And so the vital force will start coughing it up. And you'll see this usually at age 42, 45, and 49. This is when people hit the wall all the time. Is because they have either suppressed or repressed something that happened when they were between the first 18 years of their life, usually. And they either do know about it or they don't know about it, but it's coming up anyway. And again, your astral body is 100% focused in on that and knows about it. And so it has to live with it. You don't, because you forget it. You just toss it back there. Even if it's conscious, it doesn't bother you because you can focus and it's gone. But the astral body is carrying the baggage. And this is why, if you are not grounded, and usually the people who do this aren't grounded, it gets out of the body just to get a break because it is so in such overwhelm emotionally, energy wise. So this is the other 50% and half of the story that everybody needs to know about. Okay, so one of the things that I've said here is, as I said, if you are ungrounded, that means you cannot manifest what you want, which is really, it sucks. It really does. And it's, because we all have hopes, wishes, and dreams of things that we want to do. But if you dreamed of owning your own company, it probably won't happen. And if you desire to go to art school to learn to be an artist, it could be a dead end. And I said, whatever your dreams, your desires, they will not grow or progress as you might wish that they would, because your astral body is not locked into your physical body, all right, to give you all the energy, the emotional desire, and the emotional stubbornness to fight through the lean times and push ahead and make your dream or vision for the future to come through and to come true for you in a 3D world. And you need to see this linkage here. Just because you can't see energy doesn't mean that it's not working on you, either for you or against you. And if it's working against you, it's because you, the human being who incarnated down here, doesn't want to deal with it for whatever the reasons. And I've been there, done that. I don't know. I don't know anybody who hasn't. So the first thing that I want to do is talk about how to keep your astral body grounded. And I said I've written a free Google document, which Eugenia will have it in her thing, in her YouTube. And it's a big handout, but it could provide you a different kind of life than you have if you will just please ground yourself. This it's just so simple. Not everything is complex, especially when you're dealing with energy like this. So I said 75% of the humans their astral body is hanging out, some more, some less. And I said sometimes it will only be the head and neck. Other times it might be the waist and chest. It just depends upon how intense the emotions and what is it that you're running from that you either do or don't know about. And I said other times when we carry long-term stress, the astral remains out as much as it can. And I said, you remain ungrounded as a consequence. And I said, you are no longer in charge of your emotions like you would want to be, because the astral now is making the decisions for you and you don't even know it. Okay. But when you start learning how to ground yourself and the astral wants to leave, when it's leaving, then you are going to go ahead and do that same technique again and draw it back in. You're the boss. The astral body is not. Okay. So number one, your astral body cannot leave your physical body entirely. That's one thing that I need to tell you here. It is bounded by a silver cord from it, which is an energy body, to you, which is a physical body. And the astral body can sometimes look like a half-filled limp balloon moving slowly around above your head. at night in the bedroom when you're sleeping. It's just kind of hanging around, floating around. It's bound by a silver cord, and you can actually see the silver cord coming out of the crown chakra because it's attached to the astral and to your physical body. I said, because your astral body is out floating around to avoid the emotional feelings and suffering, the stress, and this is during the day, by the way, we're not talking at night, we're talking day now. You are dealing with, and what it's doing is slowly damaging your physical body. Now, where is it? If it's astral issues, it's going to be abdominal issues because that's where the navel chakra is located. And for women, it is the reproductive system, also the small and large intestines. For the man, it is the prostate, as well as the abdominal area as well. So what I say is stress is a killer over a long period of time. It shortens your life. And I said, without your astral body being inside where it belongs, it is taking needed energy away from your physical body that you desperately need in order to help you carry the stress loads, all right, that you have to handle because it's not handling it. This is really crucial, and it's really critical to everything that you understand this. And I said, it's taking needed energy away from your physical body that you desperately need in order to help you carry the stress loads you must handle. And I said, you won't sleep well at night. You will feel tired getting up, or fatigue will hit you around 3 p.m. daily, and you want to simply take a nap. And I said, sleep, by the way, regenerates us, and you receive healing energy as a result. And you can see all the stress here. I know all of you are very well know a whole bunch about it. And I said, the astral body supports and helps protect you from stress. I said, it is supposed to work on reducing the stress for you. If it's up and out of you, then the stress is harder to handle and deal with, and it can't be minimized because now you're carrying the full load. You're doing 50% of the astral's work that it should be doing. So I said, most people, and you can tell who this has happened to. I mean, I've got a list on this. They become short-tempered. They're irritable. They're prickly. They get angry. And I mean, they get angry like that. They even turn, especially males, turn into dangerous rageaholics. Your patience is thin and worn, and you won't be able to be as calm, cool, and collected. You may cry more often if you're a woman. I know the society says men can't cry, but, the goddess gave everybody some tear ducts in her eyes, and men have got them too. So they've just got to get over that hurdle and start crying and letting it go. That is so healthy for them. If they would do that, they wouldn't have the prostate problems they got. So figure that one out, guys. No prostate problems. Hey, let the tears roll. The more, the merrier. Depression is a major sign that your astral body is out of alignment with your physical body. And I said, giving up, unable to complete projects, and being late all the time, oversleeping, acute or chronic health symptoms, and they never have a feeling of truly being awake and alert with all these different symptoms. These are all key astral bodies out of you, and it needs to come back in. The fail-safe on this is so simple. It's doing the grounding technique that is going to be with this lesson. And if people would just do that, and every time the astral wants to come out, you'll feel it unlock from your feet. You go sit down as soon as you can where it's quiet and take 10 minutes and go through this process again. And usually, I can tell you the first 5 days, the astral is going to come out. Every time you put it in, it might stay in for an hour and then it's out again. My mother was doing it 3 to 5 times a day for the first week. I mean, because she was always ungrounded. I mean, she's never here. And so she was really bitching a lot about it. I don't like this. This just feels awful. My feet feel really, really heavy. I don't like this. My mother was a Scorpio with the moon in Leo, and believe me, you can't talk them into anything, but you can sure hear how they feel about it because they're going to let you know about it. But eventually, she figured it out. And what she did notice is that when the astral was locked into her feet, she felt better. She had more energy and she slept better at night. I mean, oh my God, this woman hasn't slept well for decades. So, and probably there's people out there who are just like that at any age. They just can't sleep. So I said, if these signs and symptoms of the energy drain that the astral body is placing on you, because it's not doing its job, okay, this stress can turn malignant and you may end up with a chronic issue that requires medical attention, and or you cannot work or do the job you did before. The job is going to suffer. Everything's going to suffer as a result of this. I said, your brain will not fire on all cylinders, and you'll find yourself being forgetful. You can't remember where you put something, or losing the keys. They were here a minute ago. Where are they? And normal everyday things that have been easy before the stress hit you, which stress is simply, to me, another word for trauma and shock. Trauma and shock are the biggest killers of people in the world, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I always go after trauma and shock, and I start with the astral, and I look at the person. I turn on my clairvoyance to see, okay, just how far out are you? You know, what do we got here? What are we looking for? And then I can help them and explain to them. This is why I made this slideshow and video. I'm getting tired of saying the same thing again and again. Everybody can listen to it and they can make up their own mind about it. And that's the way it should be anyway. But too much chronic stress and the energy is shredded from the astral body too. And it can't do its job it did before if it stays home. So there's a price for a astral body that's out. If it comes in because you're grounding it and you're willing it back into your body because it has to come, because you did will it, okay? It's a part of you and you're the boss and it isn't. It pays a price for this. So, okay, once you get it in, then you really want to start looking at, all right, what am I sitting on that I can remember that I ought to be doing some changes about? And if you'll do that, you're going to save your astral body from getting shredded and not being able to work up to 100%. I mean, I've seen some bodies that are 50%. I mean, they're so thin out, it's pitiful. They're just taking these hits all the time. And it doesn't have to be that way. Not when we are educated. Okay, I said, as your astral body slides gently back into your sleeping physical body, you awaken. At night, when you go to bed and you put your head on the pillow, okay, and you close your eyes, your astral body starts coming out of your physical body, which is the right time. And as it comes out, and you're going to see the feet, all right? And as the feet come up, that's when you go to sleep. You automatically go to sleep. Now, interesting. There may be a noise or something, or maybe the dog barks. Our dog sleeps in the bedroom with us, and she snores something horrible. She wakes me up in the middle of the night. And it's like, oh my God, the room's shaking because she's snoring. I've never seen a dog like that in my life. Anyway, I said, if you wake up like in the middle of the night, or you're suddenly brought to sudden consciousness, okay, your eyes snap open, it's because you heard something, or you had a dream, or you had a nightmare, or there was something that was out of place. And when you wake up like that, some people, I would say 50% of the people that I've seen have had this particular, I don't know, experience, for lack of a better word. They are paralyzed and they can't move. And it's a very, very traumatic, terrorizing sensation to that experience. And about 50% of my people that I've worked with over the last 50 years have had that issue. That and flying. They love the flying dreams. Those are astral. You're actually there. It's a lucid dream. They call it a lucid dream here in science. But actually, you're in an astral dream and all six senses are on, and you can smell, taste, hear, everything. And all the colors are even more vivid because you're in the fourth dimension, you're not in the third. But you don't know that because your physical body's asleep, but your astral's having a hell of a good time. Okay. And you're there consciously to be with it and to experience it, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal. And I just think about this. I mean, I've had some people go take off and they go to another universe or another galaxy, or they go to their favorite star system or star. It isn't always here in our 3D world. But if you have that, it's much better than being paralyzed. Now, I said many people have had this happen to them, and I want to reassure them that it will stop the instant that the astral body comes 100% completely back into your physical form. So since I'm hoping that you will remember the, grounding technique. You just need to lay there, and even if you can't move, your brain's still moving. You can visualize it and bring the astral in. And as soon as those feet come down here, you're going to start to be able to wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers. And the more it comes in, the more that you're going to get back to just normal. It doesn't hurt anything. It just scares the living hell out of you is all. Okay. But that's what it is. So, all right. So I said some people dream or lucid dream, and we just talked about this. And that is also another reason why they might snap back, because in a lucid dream, they're astral traveling. And believe me, when they come back, it's like a jet coming in the room. It's like, bam, like this. And that shocks you awake. That shocks the conscious physical body awake. And that's when you can become paralyzed for a moment. And then as soon as your astral's back in, then you're fully functional. So it's temporary. I said, okay, physical feet, that takes care of that one. I don't have to say anything more about it. All right. So I said, when you're first trying to ground a reluctant or stubborn astral body who does not want to obey you because of the stress, you may feel them unlock from your feet once you visualize the grounding technique. And I said, and away they go. I said, when you get a chance, go find a quiet, undisturbed place and visualize and ground your astral body back into your physical body. And it's my will, not your will. It's thy will be done. It starts here with the physical body. It's number one. And you have to have a talk with them, and don't ever get angry at them. They love you, and you should love them too. There's times I've had people do this for up to 10 times a day, going back and getting the body back in, and you just have to keep at it. And within a day or two, usually, you'll feel the astral body unlock from your feet. And as fast as you can, sit down and visualize it back into your body again. And I said, the good news is this will usually last 3 or 4 days. And then I said, you'll find yourself visualizing less and less every day. And finally, it just becomes, we have a second grounding, which I'm going to do a small video on. It's a second grounding, and it's one that was taught to me by Oshana Fastwolf, my medicine woman teacher. And it works very well, so that you don't have to sit around for 10 minutes and do this visualization. But once it's in and it stays in, you don't have to do it anymore. But if it starts coming out again, then you do have to do something about it. Okay? It's like having a recalcitrant 5-year-old child that thinks it knows best. Okay? And your mom. That's it. And that's just the way it goes. It's like that on every plane. So let's move on to, okay. Over time and patience, you're sticking to it. Your astral body will remain locked in during the waking hours as it should. And I said, look at it this way. Every night, once it leaves and you sleep, it has usually 8 to 12 hours of freedom, okay, from your physical form. Now, that's like a vacation to them, okay? They get it every night. It doesn't get to do it during the day, however, just because it's throwing a hissy fit for some reason. And I said, you are the boss. I've got that in big caps. Don't ever forget that. It is not. So be firm, provide boundaries, and eventually the astral body will wave the white flag of surrender and do the right thing and remain in the body while you're awake. And I said, there are times when the astral body will shoot out of the body, and this is where it gets serious. but it's because of trauma and shock. I said, remember, it's part of your emotional body. So when you get upset, it gets upset. It feels it, just like you do. And I said, most of the time it will come halfway or 3/4 of the way out, but never fully leave your physical body. And I said, depending upon how shaken or whatever the shock was, then I said, you may or may not get a chance to visualize anything at all and get it back inside of you. It's important to get it back inside as soon as you can. I said, instead, order it back fully into your body and it should immediately come back to you. If you happen to fall off, okay, here's some examples. If you happen to fall off a ladder, or you're in a car accident, or you slip on an icy sidewalk, or you hit the ground really hard, that is a shock to the entire body. Seen or not by anyone else doesn't matter. And I said, once the astral is retrained to stay in rather than go out, it will usually move back into place and lock in after that kind of a shock. So I said, there are good reasons, even life or death reasons, to retrain your astral to do what you want, not what it wants or thinks it needs or wants. I said, if it is in your body, here's a really important thing. I used to be an EMT, so I've taken a lot of blood pressure things to people, as well as oximeters and so on and so forth. If it is in your body, your blood pressure will not do what we call dumping. And what dumping of a blood pressure is that, usually the average for an adult is 120/80, thereabouts. It changes a little as you get older, and it changes a little when you're younger, but we'll just take the adult at 120/80. If you get a shock or a trauma, that's why one of the first things that an EMT does at an accident scene, or if they're called to a house, is they're going to slap that blood pressure on you, cuff on you, and find out where is the systole and distal readings at, the high and the low. And if the shock is bad enough, you literally can lose 40 points. You can go from 120/80, and it could go down to 40, and it could go down to maybe 100 or maybe 90. That's really, really bad. But, okay, if the astral body is in the body and stays with the body even during the shock and stays in line with the body, you're not going to lose the blood pressure issue, because it can kill you. People die just on blood pressure dump alone, never mind loss of blood, which is part of what's causing it to dump. Whether it's internal bleeding or external doesn't really matter, but it can slow it down. This is why the astral body is so important to our physical health. Okay, so I said shock and trauma are your greatest challenges for your astral body to deal with. I said it could be tripping and falling that will disrupt your life. I said, and your astral body's life. I said, or something far more dangerous, which is a car accident, being robbed, raped, incest, sexual incest, kidnapped, beaten by someone else, male abuse toward a child or a woman. And I said, these are all what we call wounds that we receive when we're living in the 3D human body. And I said, whether it's a physical jolt, or an emotional one, or a mental one, or a spiritual one, it can create a mountain of stress that is the responsibility, first, energetically speaking, for the astral body to contend with and to try and balance it out, or at least stop the continuing up of what it's doing to you emotionally. So that's when they really get involved with what they're doing. And the astral body takes the worst of it, okay? Even though you may be very critically injured, the astral body's taken the pain and can feel everything you feel. It feels everything. And I said, although I know from personal experience, I feel like I'm taking the brunt of the emotions, as a human being, we have no idea how it is beating up the astral field and the astral body. But I said, let's feel our way through this. I said, emotions are energy. The astral body is composed entirely of energy. And so there is a lot of quote unquote pressure shock waves, which are all energetic, hitting you. And it goes straight to you, and then it's absorbed by your astral body. This is hellacious stuff. I mean, God. I said, and it's there to be what we call, energy-wise, a shock absorber of sorts. I said it helps you think faster, better, quicker in moments of crisis, threat, or danger. I said, if it is reduced, the bulk of the hit is absorbed through the astral body, and it helps you escape the worst of it. And it also will minimize the amount of blood pressure issues that you're going to have with this. And then again, blood pressure is everything. I've just seen it too many times, and that's where it's all at. And if we can get that normalized, or at least if we can stop it from falling, that's good news. But that astral is in there doing 90% of that work. It energetically is working. So I said the astral body cannot make such shock trauma disappear. You have to work through it too, which is why you have pain or whatever with it also. I said grounding speeds up process of recovery. I have seen this over and over hundreds of times, where if the person has grounded themselves, they've been through some horrendous accident, they recover beyond what everybody thinks they should. They're out 2 to 3 weeks early if it's a terrible one, or maybe a month early, because the astral body is doing the energy work of mending and healing and rebalancing everything in our body that is an energy body. Okay, it's all wrapped up in the astral. And I said, shock is very stealthy at times. I said, and it eats away at our entire immune system as a result. This is why people have a low immune or immune issues, is that they're sitting on something that is so terrible and so bad that they either do or don't know, suppressed or repressed. And the next thing that it goes after, if we're not willing to work with our issues, our wounds, it's going to go and it's going to take on the body and start destroying the body. And the first system, we have lots of systems. We have the cardio system, we have the renal system, we got the reproductive system. It is basically, you want that to stop. You don't want the immune system attacked. And that's the first one that it does. It lowers your resistance. And again, a lot of people die just because of lower resistance. But now we know why. We know what the culprit is that it is causing that immune system to weaken. It is shock, it's trauma, and you've got to start digging for it. And boy, people don't want you to go there, let me tell you. I get clients all the time. I got one right now that doesn't believe a word that I've said to her about it, but you can tell just by her body language and the way her voice has changed that she damn well knows what she's sitting on. But she, it's like, not going there. Okay, that's your choice, but I gave you the chance to know what's going on. And now it's in your field, it's in your decision. And that's the way it should be. I can educate, but I can't force a change on another human being. So not being able to, for instance, let's talk about the stealthy shock here. Let's say you're not able to pay your bills. Now, I know that for a fact. I've gone through it. I've been there, done that. It's an awful trauma, but it's a slow moving. It's like watching a building starting to fall, and it's just falling inches a day as it goes down. Okay. It's not like clunk. Slow shock is just incremental, but every day it's eating at you. And if you can't pay your bills, you've got worry, you have anxiety, you have panic, your survival action, reaction hits you. I mean, there was one time when I was so poor, I had $200 left on me because my aunt loaned it to me, bless her heart. And I drove to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, And I had just enough money left to buy an unfurnished single bedroom apartment. I had a sleeping bag, and I had enough money to buy a jar of peanut butter and some crackers. And that was it for 6 months. But I ended up with 3 different jobs that I got. One at Koppers, which is a big company in Pittsburgh, and then 2 others. One of them, I figured out, well, if I wanted to eat, I had to be a waitress at a restaurant, and then I could get all the food that they were gonna throw out and stuff. I could take it home with me at night, which is exactly what I did. So I learned to be a waitress, and then I worked at Zayre's, which is no longer around, and it was in the bra department, which I hated bras. That's it was such a fun time. It's like I hated bras. I wouldn't wear them. These are dangerous to women and to breast cancer. It absolutely, in my opinion, causes breast cancer because your breasts are have the most lymph glands in your body is in your breasts, and the lymph gland doesn't have a heart, and it moves because your muscles are moving, and that's how things come from the head down, and it goes, and you either pee it out or you poop it out, one of the two. Dead cells and toxins and poisons, that's what your lymph gland is supposed to do, and it's also supposed to keep bacteria and viruses from killing you too. So it's a very important system. But that particular thing about having no money and not having a job and figuring out I'm going to starve if I don't do something, my poor little astral body was in knots. But it's no fun. And I don't laugh about it to this day. I donate to a number of places for people who don't have a house or they can't afford the food. You go to the places in your area that do distribute food, and I donate to those people because I've been there. I know what it's like. It's horrible. But the astral body will more than likely stay where it's supposed to, all right? And it might start sneaking out during the day to relieve itself of the intense ongoing energy pain. And I said, worry is one of the greatest health issues because it's an emotional issue. And I said, our emotions, 90% of the time, are what bring on acute and chronic health issues and diseases. Everything is absolutely ground zero. It is our emotions. And this is why the astral body and that second field is the most important one of our entire aura, period. That's my opinion, but that's what I've seen. That's my experience. So it's a tough road, and it's no fun living down here. It's high stress. So I say it's doubly important that your astral stay grounded to help you through these periods of what we call high stress. And I said it's worth working on because someone with cancer, the disease or a killing disease, they need their astral body home, okay, to stay in them because again, what is the first thing it's going to do? It's going to buttress and strengthen the immune system. That's the first system they go after to get it stabilized, to fight back. This is why you want everybody grounded. It can mean the difference between life or death. And all it is a little, a handout that Eugenie is going to have on her website that you can download and you can show that to everybody. If you got somebody that's got a serious disease, please show this to them. Let them try it if they will, if they won't, then there's nothing you could do and you just have to let it go. It's thy will be done. It's their incarnation. So just remember, emotions are energy and energy can be emotions and both start with an E. I said, let's look at some of the ways you might want to de-stress that helps you and your astral body, keeping it in so you can do maximum de-stress work. Now that we've talked about the dark, ugly side, now we're going to talk about some of the happy things. Okay, so now that you know what the astral body does part and parcel within our body, you understand how important the grounding is. And some people are naturally grounded and remain that way all their lives, whether they're in shock, trauma, or stress, doesn't matter. They're far and few between. And I said, when you think about it, 75% of the people not being grounded, that's beyond not being good. That's possibly a catastrophic disaster just waiting to happen. But there are ways to prevent it. For instance, here is somebody who loves reading. Take an hour out and go read. Okay. Or maybe you like to go watch videos, or you want to listen to some YouTube music or whatever. Do something for yourself. Give yourself that hour. It can't be a half hour. There's no, there's no halfies here. It's 1 hour. Okay. That's very, very important. It's 60 minutes. And the number 6 is about loving yourself. 6 is the family, but you're a family too. And you have a part of you that is sentient, your astral body, that you have to take care of, to keep it there and talk to it and let it help you, because it can do a lot of things. And here's somebody else who, is sitting on a hill, and she's got her backpack and got a thermos there, and she's probably having hot chocolate and watching the sunrise. Okay. And here's an old couple just walking along on some lake somewhere. They're getting exercise. It's fresh air. It's wonderful. It's breaking out of your normal cocoon that you live in, or your normal, whatever it is, cycle. Okay. I said our patriarchal, male-dominated world has made us all more stressed. We weathered the Industrial Revolution, but we aren't going to be able to surmount the computer revolution with artificial intelligence, AI, or other radical cliff-clinging new techno ways of living and seeing the world. We are literally at the end of our rope. We are all dangling. It's just a question of how much of the time and how bad it is. We're not going to be able to surmount the next mountain that's coming at us. The more of us that are grounded, the more we think rationally and have strength and resilience to band together and make changes that we know are needed for all of us. I said, the world can no longer survive males who are in power, money, control over 90% of the Earth's population any longer. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care if you starve. They don't care if you can't pay your bills. They don't care if your child's sick. Nothing. I said, we change the world one person at a time. That's just like handing out that handout, Eugenie. Get grounded. That's all they'll ever hear from you from now on. And when we realize the unseen energy that we have in our astral body that is helping us to stay the course. And here's some things that you might feel your way through and take up as a hobby, possibly. Here is acupuncture. I really believe in it. My mother started having a weak heart, congestive heart failure. And at the time, we lived down at Oak Creek. And I had heard of this fabulous acupuncture guy in Sedona, Arizona, which was 8 miles north of us. And I called him up and I talked to him, and he knew I was an EMT, and he had a strong medical background himself. He actually trained in China, which is fabulous. Okay. And I told him about her chronic condition. And he said, there's a lot of good things we can do for her. He says, why don't you bring her in and we'll try. That man gave my mother 10 more years just with acupuncture. And she had a better life. She no longer had the fatigue. She slept well at night, and it was incredible for her. So acupuncture, again, is an energy medicine. Okay. We're putting needles in the body. That's true. But those needles are running the energy to the different meridians of the body to get the meridians cleaned out so that the energy can flow in, and then it gets healthy again. That's kind of putting it in really simple terms, but you get the picture that I paint that way. Another one is go walk the dog. All right. Go out, sit with your tree. Go see the animals, especially if you're working in a really intense people to facing people type of environment. That can really wear you out, because the people that you're seeing, particularly in your homeopathic, are ill, or they're not feeling well. And so, they unconsciously know that they don't have the energy. And so they start sucking off everybody that works there. If you're grounded, they can't do it. they can't do it. Your astral body just sets that up and goes, no, out. You're not taking any energy, gasoline, out of this particular person. Okay. But again, it goes back to grounding. But walk your dog, hold your kitty cat, whatever. Also go to spas if you can afford it. And one of my favorites is I love the warm stones on my spinal column. That just soothes me out, and you need to find what works for you, okay? But I thought I would put that in because I love rocks. I know rocks can heal us because I know 98% of the rocks on Mother Earth have crystal in them, have silica. And that is the healing. That's the pyroelectric and piezoelectric. The energy is going back and forth between those stones that are on my spine and my physical body. And gee whiz, my astral body actually loves when I go and have something like that done because they feel it too. And it's so good for them because it's energy. Okay, so being grounded may seem like a simple fix, but actually it's a major part of us getting and banding together in groups of like-minded hearts and spirits to say no to the destruction that's upon us and will continue if we can't work as one village, all for one and one for all, and with our hearts and spirits and strength. I said, with our willpower, our heart who cries out for peace and no more wars, people getting along with one another, and that a person's skin color means nothing to anybody. And people no longer starving or dying for lack of water or food. And we're going to be turning the wheel of fate in a new and better direction. That is the age of Aquarius. And the age of Capricorn wants to keep the world the way it is. That is not going to last. I guarantee you that. And I said, but we must work together as one heart for a much better world than what we live in presently, and we can do it. I was in the Navy, in the military, as a meteorologist. I was in the Air Wing, but I knew a lot of Navy SEALs, and the SEALs are Black Ops guys. And I said the U.S. Navy SEALs, Black Ops, has a saying, one is none, two is one. And they also have another one where they'll show you one matchstick and then they'll show you a bunch of matchsticks and they'll tell you which one can you break. Well, they can break the single matchstick, but the matchsticks that are all together, they can't break them at all. So it's united we stand, divided we fall. Also, some more things that you can do for yourself. How about dancing in the kitchen? That's a lot of fun. Try it out, okay? Or a dance class. If you really love dancing, I really suggest looking around for something like that, because you need to get out, you need to move. The astral body loves to move too. Also, art, painting, that type of thing. How about going bicycling? That's a good way if you're up for it. And I said, and perhaps the easiest way to distress and help your hardworking energy astral body is to try yoga and or meditation. I know yoga has meditation in it, but I also know that there's a lot of people who don't want to do yoga, but they do like the meditation because even if they do it for 20 minutes a day, that is so healthy. It gives the astral body a chance for you to relax so that it can be working at its maximum while you're resting. See, when you're busy, it's busy. When you're sleeping, it's usually resting too, unless unless you're a shaman or you're doing something in the other realms and stuff. Your astral body is very busy. There's no rest for the wicked. And I said, the meditation is a well-known distressor and helps you and your astral body, not to mention your family, friends, and relatives. It's something that you can talk to them about. You can't make them, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But what you can do is just share these ideas with these people. And I said, this could be a family thing. And this is why I put in this good morning family meditation. When we lived near Sedona, we had one instructor who was really good, and she was a good friend of mine, but she was also an artist and a painter and a writer, and she owned her own publishing company too. But she had several yoga and meditations for families. And it was always fun to see the kids come in and to see the teenagers who were going, oh God, we got to go there again. And then either mom or dad there. And inevitably, just because she was who she was, she's just passed on here in the last month. Her aura, her energy was so beautiful and loving. She's written 4 children's books, all Tibetan, about Tibetan stories about Tibetan children. And 3 of them are published, and the Dalai Lama signed those first 3 books that came out. And she was very close to Buddhism and to the Dalai Lama. And to have that happen, I thought was just unbelievable. It just blew me away. But her 4th book is coming out. She finished it 2 weeks before she passed. And I'm going to be getting copies, thank goodness. And she's left such a treasure of loving energy, which is what we're all working toward anyway in our own ways. But she really, really made a difference. So this family meditation is a really great idea. And I saw a lot of kids change, because I used to go up once a week and do an early one, because I had to work all day, and I'd be there with the kids and the families, and it was fun to watch. The little babies, oh my God, they were so cute. They'd be crying when they came in. As soon as they came into her yoga place, they would stop and they would start looking around, and you knew that they were wide open and that they could see clairvoyantly, and they could see the spirits that were around them. It was just, and they would see the colors of the auras of the people too, and you'd see them looking at you that way. And so it was a really great experience. So I said to kind of end this, being grounded every morning means everything to the quality of the day that's in front of you. And I said, you're in charge, and to be all that you can be. And that is the end of the talk for today, Eugenia. Questions, comments?
Yeah, that was beautiful, Eileen. Thank you so much. And I know you kind of mentioned, in our first talk about the astral body, it's so important that it's grounded, but I don't think it's possible to overemphasize it, because this really is so important. We need to bring this message home and, really drill it into people, the importance of all of this. This is going to sound a little bit silly, but I'm trying to figure out the astral body and the soul. Like, how's that different? Because I know I asked you last time about, say, something like a big shock or a fright, and the astral body will leave. And I guess that's where you'll see people with like numbed emotions, or like kind of blunt, because their astral body is not in their physical body. But then we can use a remedy like opium to kind of get them back in. But is that the soul that you're getting back in, or the astral body that you're getting in?
Okay.
But anyway, I can see you've already got the answer, so I'll stop waffling now.
No, that's fine. There's a, I don't know, it's a step-by-step kind of thing that I'm going to tell you. First of all, we all have a soul. All right. It was created by the god or goddess, whoever you believe in. All right. Souls are still being created by the goddess, because she's a woman. She has a uterus. She can birth a soul. A man can't. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the goddess, but that's my personal belief system. Okay. Put that aside. Once your soul is created, okay, then it begins a cycle of learning, okay? And different souls are birthed at different places. It doesn't necessarily mean it was in this solar system. It doesn't even mean it was in our galaxy. It could have been another galaxy or a constellation, okay? A star in a particular constellation where you were born, okay? Or it could be in any number of other universes, different dimensions. I mean, you could go crazy thinking about this, but we have all been birthed somewhere, from somewhere, okay? And we call that our home. That's your soul home, right? And you have a pair of what I call star parents. I guess you call them parents if you want. The star parents are the ones that raise the new baby soul up to a certain point, and then they're ready to start in a new track of learning, and they will choose a place where they want to learn, and they have to be old enough. They have to be about 18. I mean, we're talking linear time here, and there is no linear time out there whatsoever. When they're old enough to go to school, we'll just put it like that, they are going to go, and their teachers and their chief guide, which someday we'll talk about the chief guide, because this is really important too. It's as important as the astral is. The chief guide is outside of us in 4D, and the astral is inside of us in 4D, even though we're in 3D. If that makes sense. You can see how quickly you can get messed up in this. Anyway, let's say the soul came from the star Sirius, was birthed there and grew up, and the star parents are talking to the soul and saying, and they might lay out a bunch of things and show it to her or him about where they would like to go to start their training as a soul, so that they don't know anything. They're literally a new soul is like a baby that's just been born. Literally, their slate is blank, just like a child that's been birthed. And over time, in a human example here, that child maybe at 3 or 4, the parents are reading to it, or maybe going to a little school or something like that, maybe kindergarten at age 6, and then we go at age 7 into 12 years of schooling. The young soul, what you need to know is if they choose the earth here in 3D, they're allowed to do that. There's 2 things about this place. First of all, it's for type A souls who are in a hurry and want to get through this, to go out and choose their path that they want to really be on. Okay. This is like going through, your freshman and your sophomore years. You get the English and you get the math, and you get all these things that you really don't want, because you want to learn geology, which is going to be in your junior and your senior years. Okay. If you're in college, and then they kind of go through the same thing everywhere. It's a very common thing. There are differences, but I'm not going to get into those. But let's say the soul decides that it wants to come to Earth, because the souls who come down here really want to take on a lot of learning, and usually more than they can bite and chew off. Okay. And the planners and the teachers that are with them are instructing the soul, okay, if you do this, then this is going to take so much time, and you may not have the time you need to go through it completely. You may only do half of it. Well, then you have to have another incarnation where you would go into another lifetime to finish off that piece of the training for that subject. Okay. But the thing is that when they go into an incarnation, when they actually go into, if they want to be a rock, if they want to be a tree, if they want to be a honeybee, whatever, it's all open to them. All right. But a little piece of the soul goes with the spirit that is created for that incarnation. And that piece of the soul that is embedded in the spirit has an invisible cable back to the soul itself, which is staying in the other dimensions. The soul is not coming into 3D. A piece of that soul is coming into 3D. And that piece of the soul is there like a tape recorder, okay, to hear, see, feel everything that goes on. And it sends it back to the soul. The soul then gives it to the teachers and the instructors. Every soul has a team, okay? Has a team of very old souls who know what they're doing. They're specially trained. They're specialists in this, that, and the other thing. And so all this information is being fed back from this incarnation. And that little piece of soul is embedded into the spirit. And the spirit is in the human body. And the astral is within the human body. All right. So you have many layers of things that are going on, energetically speaking. Okay. Does that answer your question? Because once that person decides to pass on and leave the body, all right, the human body and the spirit is eventually going to, after a certain amount of time of lifting off and going to the other side, it's going to dissolve and dissipate. But the piece that was in it, that is the soul, that information goes into what we call the Akashic records. And the Akashic records is the story in videotape in real time. Not only that, the Akashic records is a hell of a lot more than that. You go in there and you start looking at your life, guess what? You're getting all the emotions and the thoughts and everybody who was in that lifetime who had some kind of contact or connection to you. You're not only meeting them again, but you're feeling them. You're feeling all of them. It is a circumference kind of thing that goes around in the Akashic records, because the reason why you come into a 3D incarnation is to learn something you didn't know before. And this is a world, this is a planet who said, I'll volunteer to be the kindergarten for young souls, okay? I can't think of a worse thing to do, frankly. I mean, there's far better places to go when you have, learned. It might take you hundreds of lifetimes. It could take you 1,000 lifetimes here on Earth. And some souls, okay, will decide that they don't want to be down here anymore. So the next time they plan, they want to go over here into this other dimension, this other planet, or whatever it is that happens to be over there that they want training on. Okay. There's a little piece of the soul that would go into the spirit of that, and then it would go over there. It would send everything back. And then there would be another Akashic record being made for that soul. Okay. And that's how the soul learns, is through making mistakes. Okay, you learn not to chop somebody's head off. But if it didn't occur to you that it's going to hurt them and you've destroyed them, and how is it affecting their family? And you don't have any response to it or anything, except that, well, you did it, but you didn't know it was wrong. Then what happens, okay, when they go back over, okay, when this person, this piece of soul and this spirit passes back over into the other dimensions, they get together with all of their teachers and their trainers and everybody else, and then they go through this entire video of everything. And they don't do it all at once, because when they come to the video where he chopped off the person's head with a sword, okay, and didn't feel anything, but it felt good or whatever, or he felt like, he beat him and therefore he felt good. All right. He didn't lose, or he'd be the guy that would be headless. At that point, when that soul is and it is the soul who is watching it, okay, because that piece brought back all that information being played out, it's feeling everything. It felt the fear of the man when he saw the sword coming down at him, felt the pain, and felt the warm blood bleeding out of him, and he died. But then they take a big step further. They go back to the family who loved this man and to his children. And how did they feel? And this soul is watching this. The soul's not only watching it, they're absorbing all of the thoughts, the emotions, the terrible loss of this man, this warrior, and how is it going to change their lives? And so the soul gets to see what happens when it did that. And the soul, because it's not a dark soul or a light soul, it's simply a soul that's learning, is going to understand, oh my God, I don't ever want to chop anybody's head off again. Look what I did. And most souls will just they will go into knots of anguish over this because that wasn't they didn't know. They didn't know that it would do that. And how many people it affected. And they go on and they show the next family, the kids grow up and they have family, and how it has affected them, how it has affected. It's like the family miasm, okay? There is an energy that weaves in and out of it for as far back as that family existed, okay? So that's how it goes. Does that kind of answer your question?
Well, it does. And it
So
gives me about 1 million more questions. But the first of which is there a particular part in the body where that piece of the soul lives?
the heart.
Okay.
It's always posited in the heart because everything is done out of compassion and love. Everything on the other side. That's why everybody likes to go and say, "Get me the hell out of here. I want to go home. I'm happy there." Okay? I am. I'd like to. And I've tried a couple of times to go home and they go, "No, no, no, you can't do that. You're not done here. We need you to stay here because, oh God, I've tried several times and it just doesn't work." So it it's so much nicer over there. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but care. And then the fact that that soul has made friends with other souls, okay? And different souls draw each other and they become like a little village or a group that gets together. Not all of them go into the same lifetime at the same time, but there are some who are wanting a similar thing that they want to learn, and they happen to be between lives. They'll get so that they'll talk to their instructors and teachers of, well, why couldn't I come in and be with her or him, and we could do something together. Maybe I'll be the husband and that'll be the wife, or maybe I'll be the best friend, or maybe I'll be the neighbor next door, or maybe I will have been a school buddy going through junior high or something like that, or to walk into the life to help him at a certain point. Okay, this is how it goes. And when they go back over after they're done with that incarnation, then they sit and they talk about it, and they will look at the movie, for lack of a better word, that has all of the feelings with it. They'll be looking at it together if they were together, and they talk to one another. And usually these groups can be very big, they can be very small and intimate. It just depends what the focus is of that soul, because souls are just like people. They're all different. They all have different things that are important to them that they want to, some have really high curiosity, so they're always doing things that feed that in them. They're all different. They're not automatons, they're not robots. They are all different.
Amazing.
So does that help?
It does. I didn't get a chance to introduce Amy Vickers at the start of the intro as well. I've asked her to come along. She's my clinic manager, and she's got her own business called Happy Patch and creates her own beautiful handcrafted teas, and she grows a lot of it at a farm. And I love her chaga chai. But Amy, have you got any questions?
I guess related, but kind of not. I don't know. Am I right in assuming that everything that is living has an astral body as well?
Mhm.
So our pets, in theory, would also have
The
astral
rocks have
bodies.
it. The insects have it.
Yeah. So when you talk about us grounding ourselves to bring our astral bodies back to basically optimize our health
Lock
and
in.
our happiness. Yeah. So because animals are normally a lot smarter than humans.
Yep.
Do we need to help our pets? Is there a way, because, our pets are our family a lot of the time. Do we, when you talk about meditation and yoga and bringing our astral body back with the grounding and that, I don't know, is there something we can do, especially in this day and age where there's so much technology and Wi-Fi interfering with the natural order of things? Is there something you would suggest or that you do yourself? Or is it as simple as just taking the dog for the walk with us is basically what it's doing for us is also doing the same for our pets?
Right. Animals are far smarter than we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything is absolutely heart-centered, okay? They love us despite us.
Mm-hmm.
And if the only time that I would say on something like that is if the dog became sick. Animals will take on your energy that you're not dealing with, they will take it on to help relieve the stress on you. I've seen this time and time again. And then they get sick
Okay.
because they can't handle it. Okay. But I've actually seen animals die trying to help their human and giving their life for them because they were giving their energy away to the human. Their astral was being given away. Okay. Sucked dry. They die. Okay. The only time I get involved in something like that is if the animal is sick, and I'll, you know, it depends who it is. I mean, if it's people bring their dogs and cats over, I mean, so and so is sick. Is there anything? Do you have anything? Because they know I'm a homeopath. Okay, so they come to the door, the neighbors, and do you have anything that can help them? And so, I'll bring them in. We'll have coffee, and Gracie, our golden retriever, loves everybody, so she loves to have cats and dogs in here. Cats aren't too happy about it, but the dogs love her, and she's good with them. Usually I'll look at the aura, and I'm looking at the human's aura, because that's anytime an animal gets sick. Most of our animals don't get sick, but they get sick because we are going through a really bad patch emotionally. I've seen this time and time again. And if that's the case, I can't, these people around here would not believe a thing that I just told you guys and girls. And that's okay. I'm not a minister out there preaching. I'm here to give information. If you want it, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. We all have our own ways. But with an animal, I'm looking at the aura, and I am looking at the etheric, which, I've taught you how to look at the etheric. I don't know if you've had time to try it out, because you can see it with your two eyes. Okay. And if you can see, and if I see a bulge somewhere on the animal's, etheric around it, or I see a depression, or I see a gray little cloud here or there, what I usually do will say, well, it looks like there's something going on with the chest, and I don't want to upset the people, but I'll say, why don't you take it to the vet and listen to his heart? And it's the heart, and the vet will take care of it. And they know that I have these white pills. So they call them magic pills. And I will, once I know what the vet is diagnosing, then I will figure out, I mean, if it's like, fibrillation or something like that, which means it's a real fast beat, and it's usually an erratic fast beat. That's fibrillation. That can cause blood clots, but it can also cause a heart attack. Then I will go to my little white pill dispensary, because they know where it's at. They know it's in the next room, and it takes off, it's a 12-foot by 15-foot room, and it's nothing but one wall is like 450, 500 remedies. And I'll go get the cactus grandiflorus at a 6X, and I'll tell them to put that in the dog's water. Just one globule or one tablet, let it melt away in the water, and every time you change the water, put a new one in. And cactus grandiflorus is well known for angina, pains, as well as fibrillation. I mean, it just stops it. It helps the heart so much. And then the animal will be fine, and it'll pick up, and it'll get its energy back, and and it'll be doing far better. But it's very interesting that when an animal has a heart ailment, that there is something with the owner, or whoever really loves that dog, that there's a heart wound in the human. It's like mirrors like, because animals are pure as the driven snow, and humans are just a bunch of they're kind of like this. They're like a lump of coal, this is it. So animals are like little guardian angels that take care of us. But whatever they end up with, there's usually something that is being mirrored in the human. What they're doing is they're taking it on to help their human live.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what they're doing. And it's an energy thing that they're working on, level that they're working on. So, do you have a dog?
I do. I do. Yeah.
Tell me about her.
She's actually laying right beside me. She's very healthy. She's only, she was born in April last year, so she's not even a year old.
Oh, she's
We
a
had
pup.
we had a beautiful Kelpie cross border collie before that actually was born 2 days after my first child was born. So her and my first child grew up side by side, and she slept under the basket of my pram with my first child and then my second child. And from then on, every time I parked my pram outside to hang out washing or that, she was under the pram of whatever child was under there, because I had 4. So she just every child, that was her job. And she was gorgeous. Unfortunately, she got diabetes probably 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Took us a while to get another dog.
Yeah.
She was
How was she? 12?
when
Okay,
she passed away.
you know,
Yeah.
12 to 14, they're pretty old.
Yeah, she'd done her job.
Yeah.
So now we've got Willow, and she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's been a great dog too. Yeah.
Good.
So far.
That's good.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does. So I guess in a nutshell, to heal our dogs, we make sure we heal ourselves first, basically.
Right, because the
We're
dog
healthy, we're healthy.
well, the animal is simply mirroring where you're at or what you're working on or what you're trying to work on. And they're trying to work with you to work on it, to open it up. It's like an abscess. You got to pop it and let it drain.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where we're all at. We're all in this thing together. I mean, there is nobody that's perfect, and it hasn't happened to them because it has. I have 77 years. I got lots of stories about the imperfections of the human being. So, but there's energy things we can do to help ourselves and them too. What was your question, Eugenie?
Eileen, it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, but things kind of clicked into place when you were talking about the astral body leaving when we're sleeping, because it's obviously taking on all our emotions. So actually the astral body leaving our body and being held there by the string, that's actually getting a chance to rest and recuperate. And then when we wake up, it's coming back into our physical body. And if we're grounded, then it's drawing the energy from Mother Earth, and it's then able to nourish us. And it just brought it home to me again about the importance of sleep, which you mentioned as well. And one of my really big pet peeves is our kids these days that are just not getting enough sleep. And my kids are always on my case because, you know, my son, until he was about 10 years old, was still going to bed at 7:30. And he's like, all my friends are going to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not parenting all your friends. I'm parenting you. And we're just at the end of an almost 2-month school holiday here in Australia, where all of the kiddies, even my kiddies, but they're still going to bed at 9. They're not going to bed later than that, because sleep is so important. But you've just made me realize it's not just, because when we're sleeping, that's laying those foundations of the memories and things that we've created during the day, and we're processing all those skills that we've learned during the day. But you've just given me another reason to keep on harping on about how important sleep is, especially in children, because our astral bodies are getting a chance to actually rest and recuperate, so that when gut does come back, it can actually give us more energy. So just for all my clients that are listening right now, there will be more sleep lectures coming your way soon.
Yeah, you can blame me now.
Yeah, it's all Eileen's
The heat will be off you, Eugenie.
But it's so important. I'd say 80% of the clients who come and see me for behavioral issues with their children, if they just reduce the screen time and they increase the child's sleep, obviously diet would be the next thing, but I would almost say sleep is even more important, because so many of these kids simply go to bed. Yeah. It's actually health is actually so simple, isn't it? It's actually so simple.
It is. When you start putting the building blocks together to make, this is the foundation. I've said this from the beginning. This 5-lesson series is to build a foundation of understanding that we're dealing with energy. Now, long after I'm gone, they're finally going to find that I'm right and they were stupid and didn't listen. Okay. But it's not that I'm right. It's that metaphysics is right. And the people who use it, and I know quite a few who are doing great work very quietly. And that's what you have to do, because this whole society and this world has been taught that if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. Oh my God, whoever coined that ought to be shot. Seriously. And you're only living 50% lives. Now I'm teaching you how to start living 100% life.
Mm.
This is all it. It's the building blocks. It's the etheric, understanding how that works. And then the astral, which is key. It's just the key to the whole thing. Because our emotions run us, and that is ground zero. And if we can get right with that sooner rather than later, then we can begin to blossom in different ways within our capacity in this lifetime and this personality to do more things with it to help others. I mean, this is a service path type of thing. I'm on a service path. Okay. That's what a shaman does. And I've been doing it for as long as I can remember. So, and I like it, and it helps people, and that makes me feel good. That's what a service path is. You do goodness because it's going to help somebody who's in a lot of stress.
Mm.
And here we go again with stress. It's always stress. And the thing is that when the astral's out at night, it's also getting its healing. And sometimes it'll go into the fourth dimension, and it will go to, there's many, many different places of different types of healing that they do. And if the astral body's been through a particularly rough time, it's been very intense, and they haven't been able to get away from it, to have their vacation, if you will, at night, they will go over and they will get the healing that they need to keep things together. And that's what they do. I mean, that's part of their job. And that's great. We sleep. That's the way we get it. We don't, and there's energy in the sleep as well. Okay. Your brain is doing a lot more than you realize. Okay. You're quoting a lot of the scientific information about what sleep does and what the brain does and how the brain compacts and brings things around and stuff. There's a lot of other information that's coming in, but it's going directly into your subconscious, which is metaphysical. Okay. And you have that, I call it a treasure chest. That is where all your tools are at. That is where all the information is at that you need to become a fuller, more evolved person, because that's what souls do. Souls want to start here as an infant, but then they want to evolve to become, like a bodhisattva or a master or whatever their path is. Those aren't my paths. Mine is service. I'm fine on it. I'm happy. Okay. But you'll find yours too. But there's downloading information that's coming into everybody during sleep that is going to help them. And how it reflects out, what happens is you get up in the morning, you get your coffee or your tea. Okay. I know you're tea drinkers. And you just be sitting there drinking your tea, and all of a sudden you'll have this zipping idea. It just comes out of nowhere. It just goes bam. And you go, oh, why didn't I think of that before? Well, because they downloaded it into you, because you're ready for it and you can do something with it. So we're going to give you the idea. But this is metaphysics. This is energy 101 at work. And it is subconscious. It's all subconscious. And that's where, when we get these ideas, it's like put your work figures up and pay attention to that. And what about that idea? What do they want you to do with it? Which way do they want you to go? How do you feel about it? Are you excited? Because usually that's how they give you these downloads, is what we call them.
Oh my goodness, Eileen, I have 2 huge questions for you, but I think that's going to be a 2-hour answer, so I'll save them for next time. But can I just say again, with all of my heart, thank you so much for sharing this wisdom with us.
It's an honor.
So grateful for all the people around the world that's going to be listening to this and just opening them up. And I've had some interesting things happen in the homeopathic world this week, which was, the age of Capricorn saying, no, I want to keep things the way it was, status quo. And then I've had, all these enlightened homeopaths that are around at the moment, so many beautiful female homeopaths that are healing the sister wound, coming together, just to give me goosebumps. But it's never ever been more clear for me than right now that there's definitely this shift between, the shift happening of those who are very much holding on to the past and the ones who are really embracing this new age that we're in. And it's so exciting and just we're so ready for this and just so desperately needed. But we have to send so much love to those people. And I really just found this week, because I recognize myself in them. I recognize myself wanting to pull other people down, wanting to keep things the way it was, staying in that sort of scarcity mentality of, oh, there's not enough, we have to bring these other people down. I've been there too. And so I recognize that. And so I sent them so much love, because anyway, that was a roundabout way of saying this information that you are giving us now is going to help more of these people expand their minds and come into this new age, so we can all, work together.
Well, I think I agree with you up to a point. I know the people you're talking about, okay? They're like Mount Everest, and they're never going to change. And that's okay. They've done great work. They've brought homeopathy along, and we should honor them for that. But there's more roads to Rome than that one.
Mhm.
The Aquarian Age energy is like spreading it among the simple folk and giving it to the healers and giving it to the herbalists and giving it to those who can see beyond the 3D realm. I mean, we have a huge group who's doing that now in homeopathy. And I mean, it's huge, and they're doing great work, and they're doing magical things. I mean, I know them, and I'm aware of what they're doing. I'm not doing it because my job is different than theirs, and that's fine. But yeah, it just is what it is. And like you said, sending them love and kindness and thanking them for everything that they have developed and shared and given to the world. See, they did that. Now, why don't they let us do that? See, this is what I don't understand. It's like there's a disconnect there. Okay. And it's called ego.
Homeopathy is, it struck me again this week after all this stuff that's happened, that homeopathy is the ultimate in abundance mentality, because all of us earn our living off the work of somebody else, Hahnemann. And we all have, we have the Banerjee protocols, Sankaran's method, we have this method of prescribing Isa Yaga, like all these people, everyone's work, that you can't patent any of this. We're all using other people's work and building our foundations on that, even our remedies. One person like Andreas Tilch created that remedy, and he given the idea of it to Helios, and Helios is selling that, and they and then it's Apolline, she's created these remedies. Paul Terio's triturated these remedies. There's all these homeopath creating remedies, which all the rest of us are making money from. Nobody owns anything in homeopathy, and you can buy a remedy from somebody else, copy it, and then use it. And we've even got radionics machines so that nobody has to buy remedies. So I think if you come into homeopathy with the scarcity mentality, you're going to be sorely, disappointed, because you can't patent homeopathy, and that's all the ways that we do things. You can't patent the remedies or anything like that. So you need to come from a space of abundance and working together, because none of this belongs to any of us. All of us are standing on the shoulders of giants, and and we're all doing this for the greater good, to to help people.
Let's not forget why we're Let's not forget why we're in the homeopathic business. Okay, it's about relieving suffering and pain.
Yeah, but this type of information that you're giving, I just feel that if more of us can be grounded and get this energy, and it's going to help us with our mission, and people who are stuck in those ways are going to listen to this, and it's going to plant a little seed. I say this because I was there too. It's taken me listening to things like this, of what you're saying, to kind of make me shift my mindset, and I can see so that's why I can recognize it, because I've been there too. It's taken listening to things like what you're saying now to make me realize that scarcity mentality doesn't serve me. So basically, the roundabout way of all of this was just to say thank you again for sharing this, because I know the difference that it's going to make to collectively raise our vibration, our consciousness, and move forward from here.
I hope it will. There's more out there like me. I'm sure they're talking in every country, just like I'm talking with you. They are out there. They're working. They're passing the word. They're showing people how to use it. So thank you for having me again. And I guess I'll see you for lesson 3 in a couple of weeks.
Amazing. Can't wait. Chat to you then.
Yeah. Take care.
See you, ladies. Lots of love to you all. Bye.